Hey, what's up, Dorm Dorks? We got another life story video for you guys today. I know you guys like Brian's life story we uploaded last week or so, and I'm going to upload one right now, and we're going to be talking about a life story involving a Ouija board. And basically, if you don't know what that is, it's a device or a game. Some people call it a game that's used to contact spirits or people who have passed on, and some people actually believe that it can be used to contact demons. And you should see a picture of it pop up on the screen right now. Basically, what it is it's a board. It has numbers 0 to 9. It has all the letters in the alphabet. It has a sun, which means it's a good spirit, and has a moon, which means it's a bad spirit. And also popping up on the screen right now, you should see a picture of a planchette, which is a little triangle thing. And basically, you have to use that to operate the Ouija board. So basically, what you do is at least two people have to have their fingers on the planchette when you're using it, and then you can open up the portal of the spirit world, is basically what you say, and the spirits can enter, and you can tell them to communicate with you through the board. So you have your fingers on the planchette, which goes on the board, and then you can ask questions to the board, and the planchette will move as the spirit answers your questions. And basically, a lot of people are skeptical to this, and there's other people out there that say that you really shouldn't be using them whatsoever. And kind of how we got into it originally was at the beginning of this school year, me and Brian were pretty sure that there was a presence in our room. The day that Brian got dropped off to go to college, like he came out the night before in August, right, like the very first day of college, and him and his parents stayed at a Marriott hotel somewhere in Pittsburgh. He's not really sure exactly where it is, but that night it was like a very old hotel. Brian is certain that he saw a ghost on the foot of his bed, and he said it looked like an old like iron worker or something like that. I remember him telling me, he said, he was like, "Mom, Mom," like he didn't understand like who else it could be at the foot of his bed. And then she said, "What?" And him and his mom and his dad were in the bed next to him, and so it couldn't have been his mom on the foot of the bed. And he's like, "I think I just saw a ghost." And so he was very freaked out by that. And then the whole like first month of college, weird stuff happened when we were in the dorm. Like we would hear stuff moving at night. We would hear footsteps in the room, and we actually tried to document some of this. We tried to record some things, and we saw some weird like orbs and stuff in pictures and stuff that we took, and all this like weird stuff was happening. And then after a while, it kind of stopped, and so we started to get into this whole idea of a Ouija board. In about December, we saw videos online of it, and I think some of them were fake. We saw this one where this girl was like laughing hysterically, and supposedly she was possessed. So I mean, we were just kind of freaked out by it in general, but we looked more into it, and we realized there's certain precautions that you can take to make sure that you're safe when you do it. And some of these things that you can do are, you're supposed to make a virtual circle around all the people that are playing the game or doing it or whatever, and you say that everyone that is touching the planchette and everyone that is participating in the Ouija board session is safe and can't be harmed by any evil spirits. And then you say you want to open up the spirit world and contact only the good and friendly spirits. You don't want to talk to any evil spirits. So we looked up all this information about it, and we were just very intrigued by ghosts and things like that. So we eventually decided to buy one. So we went on ToysRUs.com. You can get it like it's like a game. It's for something that people consider so sinister. It's crazy that you could just buy it on Toys R Us. So bought it on ToysRUs.com, and the order, it got shipped by UPS. And then like a day or two later, I was just thinking like it's not a good idea. So I tried to call Toys R Us. So I called Toys R Us customer service or whatever, and I talked to the guy, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, we can't take it back. It's already like in shipment. You're gonna have to wait until it gets to the shipping destination, which is our dorm, and then you'll be able to send it back then." So I was like, shit, like I feel like I was gonna be tempted to use it if it came to the dorm. So I decided it'd be better to try to cancel it. But so it ended up actually getting to the dorm, and I wanted to send it back at that point, and then Brian somehow convinced me. He's like, "Dude, come on, we got to do it. Like we already bought it. We got to just give it a try, like once or twice, and then like if we like encounter something we don't like, we can send it back." So I was like, "All right, I guess we'll do it." So I think it was like a Wednesday that we got it, and then we decided to do it. I think it was the next night, on Thursday night. We did it one time, and nothing really happened. We like started the session, and we told the spirits to enter, and we started moving the planchette around because you're supposed to do that. Nothing happens, and after 15 minutes, nothing really much happened. So we were a little bit skeptical as if the thing even worked, or if it was like a scam or something like that. And a few nights later, we decided to do it, and this time it was me, Brian, Brian's ex-girlfriend Natalie, this kid Bobby who's on our floor, and this other guy Max. So there was 5 of us, and we all decided to use the board. And we were all in me and Brian's room, our dorm room. Here's a picture of it right here. You could look at my bed on the one side, Brian's on the other, and we were all sitting in the middle, right in between the 2 beds. And we decided that I was going to be the main speaker, the one that talks to the ghost, communicates with it, because you're not supposed to have multiple people talking, because you could confuse the spirit or something like that. And then we had Max being the writer, the one who keeps the log of communication between us and whoever we're speaking with. So, it's a glow in the dark board actually. So we put it under the fluorescent light, then we turn all the lights off, and we're all sitting on the ground in between the 2 of our beds. And then basically we conducted the start of it like we always did. Basically, you say we'd like to invite all the good and friendly spirits to communicate with us through this Ouija board, and we don't want to speak to any bad or evil spirits. And everyone that is touching the planchette is safe from any bad and evil spirits. So I've kind of just said that. And then nothing happened for maybe about 4 or 5 minutes. And then we started moving the planchette around in a circle. You're supposed to do that if no spirits come. And then all of a sudden, I distinctly felt a cold air move into the room. It almost seemed like it was coming from the window. I don't know exactly how the spirits get summoned or whatever, but I definitely felt it. I said something, and then a couple of people also said that they felt it. And then I started to ask questions. I said, Spirit, I think I just felt you enter the room. Could you tell us your name? And nothing really happened. And then nothing really happened again for another like 3, 4, 5 minutes. And then Natalie started complaining about stomach pain. She said her stomach was hurting. And I don't know, we were just a little freaked out from the whole like possession thing, like maybe something's going on, and we're like, Natalie, are you okay? Like if you're not okay, we're gonna stop the session, and we're gonna say goodbye. When you want to end the session, you're supposed to move the planchette to goodbye to close the portal. And she said, no, I'm fine. So like we continued, but I mean we were a little bit worried. I mean we were like, are you definitely like okay? Like she's like, yeah, I'm okay. My stomach's just bothering me. So we're like, all right, that's a little freaky. So then again we asked the board or the spirit. We said, what is your name? And then it slowly moved the planchette over to the R, and then it just paused there for a really long time. Again, it slowly moved to the next letter, which was M, and then finally it moved to the last letter, which was S. And we said, or what are you trying to spell? Are those your initials or something like that? And then it moved to yes, confirming that it was its initials. And we said, spirits, you know where you are right now? And it said yes. And then, so, like, do you know that you're at the University of Pittsburgh? And it said yes. And I'd be like, were you a student here at one time? And the board said yes. And this is really weird because a lot of times afterwards when we used it, the spirit had no idea where it was, so it was strange that it knew exactly where it was. And then the next question that we asked was, what year were you born in? And then the board responded 1952. And this is where one of the guys that we were doing with it, Bobby, started getting, like, kind of freaked out. And he didn't really say anything at the time, but we noticed he took his hand off the planchette and stopped participating in the session. He kind of just sitting off to the side by himself. And then we asked the board how old, the person that we were talking to, how old he was when he died. And he said 52. And this is where Bobby's like, guys, this is really weird. Like, my dad's initials are RMS. He was born in 1952, and he was 52 years old when he died. And he's like, the weirdest part is, like, this is his birthday. It was December 8th. So it was like the anniversary of his birthday, so we're getting like super freaked out. And then we asked the board very directly, we said, do you know Bobby? And it hesitated and it didn't move for an extremely long time. And then finally it moved down to goodbye, which means it left. So we all said goodbye, because you're supposed to say goodbye to close the portal or whatever. So like Bobby was absolutely convinced that it was his dad, and he was just absolutely like freaked out by it because he didn't even have his hand on the board when the spirit responded with the age of death. So there's like no way we could have even known that, like even if like his like unconscious brain was moving it to like make him believe that his dad was there, he didn't even have his hand on the board for that last part. So like it just completely like freaked us out, and we were like so intrigued by it that we decided we were going to do one more session. So we all put our hands back on the planchette. This was probably about 10-15 minutes later after we talked about the whole Bobby incident. And again, we did the same things, and finally we I didn't really feel the cold air this time, but we just kept asking questions. I said, what is your name? And then it moved to the letter R-A-C-H-E-L, Rachel. So I was like, okay, your name's Rachel. I said, Rachel, where are you from? There was hesitation. And then I said, we just started like naming countries. We're like, do you know where you are? Do you know the University of Pittsburgh? She said, no, no, no. We said, then one person said, are you from England? And it started to move to yes, and then it stopped. And then we asked again, like another place near England. We said, are you from Wales? And then it hesitated again, and it finally moved to yes. So then I asked Rachel, what year were you born in? And she said 1826, 1826. And then I said, okay, how old were you when you died? And she said 38 years old. So then we were just trying to think of some other questions to ask, and I decided, I said, Rachel, did you have a husband? And she said yes. And I'd be like, did you love him very much? And she said she did. And then I said, are you with him now? And she said no. And then I was like, we were kind of confused, like, why aren't you with him if you guys are both obviously passed away? You're from the 1800s. I said, did something bad happen to him? And then she said Kill, kill. And we're like, oh, like this is crazy, like, was your husband killed? And she said yes. And then we said, can you tell us what your husband's name was? And then she just said the word vow. We're like, vow, what exactly does that mean? And then we started to put the pieces together, and we're like, did you make a vow not to say who your husband was? And she said yes. And I'm like, is there anything that we can do to like help you find your husband? She said no. And then she also said that she had gone and used other boards in the past to talk to people. And basically what we pieced together was that she's kind of trapped in purgatory, and she's trying to identify her husband's killer, and she really can't rest until then, which is like really sad. And like we all just felt this really strong feeling of sadness while we were doing it. Like everyone just, like no one was like crying or anything like that, but it's just like a very sad tone, and we think like she was bringing some of this energy to us. And afterwards, like we had all the information written down about her. One other thing that we had asked her was if she had any children. She said yes. And then we said, how many did you have? She said 4. So we had all this information written down, and eventually we ended the session. She said goodbye. I don't remember exactly what we asked. I think it was something kind of personal. And she said goodbye then. And then we ended up looking up all this information. And we found someone on, what's the website called? I have it pulled up now. On genetree.com. I'll actually put a link to this, to her page in the description. And everything matches up with everything exactly what she said. Her name's Rachel Miles. She was born in England. So maybe that's why she hesitated when we moved the thing towards England. And then she moved to what is called, it's like a state or a province in Australia called New South Wales. So we're thinking that's why she hesitated there. Her husband died before she did. She had 4 children. So basically all this information was matching up. The year she was born, it matched up. The year that she died, it matched up with the amount of years that she said she had. So like it was just really crazy how it all matched up. So we were absolutely convinced that no one could have been moving it because of the fact that like all the information matched up perfectly. So it was just like, it was crazy. And then after this, we only really used the board a couple more times, and we were kind of just freaked out by the fact that we had actually contacted a real spirit, and it's something that is a real thing. Like it's not just a game or something like that. And I really think we got lucky that we contacted good spirits, because a lot of times people do run into bad spirits, and before we got involved in anything like that, we really just kind of stopped using it. We haven't used it at all since winter break, but I would recommend just not getting into the Ouija board whatsoever, because you don't know what you're messing with. And I've just heard some really bad stories about people's lives that got messed up by it. So that pretty much wraps up the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up rating if you liked it. And again, in the description you can find a link to Rachel Miles' online gene tree family history profile. And then also in the description you can find links to our Twitter and Facebook, so you can follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. And again, definitely put down in the comments if you guys would like to see more life story videos from me and Brian. I know you guys do enjoy the life stories. And that's pretty much it, guys. So I'll see you next time.